Hi everyone, and welcome to this YouTube channel. My name is Penny, and this is Penny's Coding Bits. In this video, we are going to walk through the steps to create a customized chatbot in Android Studio that takes a dataset from you, the user, identify patterns within the dataset, and project into the future for you using that pattern. And this is adapted from a tool I had developed last year in Excel, and you can see that on my screen here. So the tool used to ask the user for the average revenue per passenger, which I could put 100, and it's also going to ask for the monthly operating cost, which I could put as 3,000. But since I already have the output I had, I'm just gonna hit cancel and walk you through that. So the algorithm gave me a comparison of a before and after plot of my dataset. So this one is without the 1961 forecast, and this one is with the 1961 forecast. So you can see here that for the data in 1961, the algorithm took the seasonal patterns in previous years and applied it to this forecast period. The algorithm also gave me the data for monthly revenue and monthly profit for each month in 1961. However, it didn't plot this data. So I had fixed this in the mobile app. I had also changed the user input to a chat feature instead of the app asking the user to enter a specific information, so that it's a more dynamic user input rather than a very specific information inputted. So let's have a look at this app. So I'm gonna load in my data set, and that's right here. And that's our preview. So let's ask some questions to the chatbot. So I could say, could you show me the forecast for passengers? And yes, there it is. And I could also ask for the forecast for revenue. So could you show me the forecast for flight revenue? And now it's asking me to enter the average revenue per passenger. So I'll say 100. And you'll see the y-axis labels changed because everything is being multiplied by 100. So I can also ask, could you show me the forecast for flight profit? And now it's asking me again to enter the average revenue per passenger. You can change this away from 100, but for comparison purposes, I'll just say 100. And it's also asking for the operating cost per month. So I'll say 3,000. And you'll see that the plot line just lowered itself by a little bit, and that's factoring in the $3,000 of operating cost per month. So now let's dive into the back end of the code. So you can see that there are 7 files on the top. These are containing the algorithm that supports the app's functions. And the lower section contains the code that supports the design of the app. And to organize into a meaningful way, I have put them into a chart. So the main activity contains the main functionalities of the app, and it's being supported by its own XML file, activity main. So this is supporting the design for the main activity. And sections pager adapter is allowing for the swiping function in the app so that we could do this if we want to. And the shared view model contains all the data that's being shared between the 3 tabs that we have in the app. And underneath sections pager adapter and shared view model, we have the 3 tabs that we have, as well as the Hall Winters model, which contains the algorithm that derives the forecast based on exponential smoothing. And under each of the tabs, they each have XML files supporting the design for each of the pages. So we have file input for file import, and we have file preview for file preview. And you'll notice that there's also 2 more files for file preview. So Excel row item is supporting the main lines of the data, and Excel header item is supporting the preview for the header of the Excel file imported. And in the chat tab, we have the fragment chat XML file supporting the main chat functions, and the chat item XML file will show the chat history in the main part of the tab. So since this is about forecasting, let's go into the Hall Winters model first. So this is how the manual calculations of exponential smoothing looks like. So this starts with the initial level, initial trend, and initial seasonal. So level is just the average of our data, and the trend is being defined in this function down below, and the initial seasonal component is being defined in this function. And we also need to have alpha, beta, and gamma to decide on the weight that we want to use for the level, the trend, and the season. And then we want to have an idea for the historical minimum and the historical maximum. And as we go through each data point, the increase or decrease in our forecast is dependent on the adjustment for the trend that we identify. So that is, in a nutshell, how exponential smoothing works. So let's go back to our chart. So we have our backbone of how the forecast algorithm works. And now let's go through each of these other files to see how they are interconnected. So in main activity, I said that it works with the sections pager adapter as well as the shared view model, so that our app is being adapted with the swiping function as well as all the data that's being used in all 3 tabs of our app. And this main activity is being supported by the activity main XML file. So you'll see the tabs that are at the top of our app here, and our pager that's containing all the content on each tab. And Sections pager adapter, like I said before, supports the swiping function. So it assigns 0, 1, and 2 for each page on our app. And share view model contains all the data that's being shared between the 3 tabs in our app. So that includes the average revenue per passenger, our operating cost, and it updates the Excel data that's being contained here, and all the messages in the chat, and as well as the select file function. You'll also see that it performs the forecasting for passengers here, and it gets the historical data and pass that down to the exponential smoothing function, and it also calculates the revenue forecast as well as the profit forecast. It's all happening in here. And as we go down the hierarchy, we could start from file import. So, like I said before, the file import is importing the file into the app. So you'll see that the pick file button algorithm is in here. And it also works with the share view model so that all the data are being shared with the other tabs in the app. And the XML file that supports file import is called file input. And you can see that the design for picking the Excel file is this button right here. And we also have the file preview. So you can see that it listens for any update in the shared view model. And if there is any update, it will show that update. And the design for this is contained in the file preview XML file so that all of the Excel content are being shown in the scroll view that gives you a very pleasant viewing experience. So if you have more than what the window contains, you could scroll back and forth in here without problems. And we also have the Excel header item that supports the bolding feature on the Excel header, as well as the Excel row item that shows the rest of the rows in the Excel file. And last but not least, we have the chat fragment. And on top of the messages, which is supported by this code chunk, we also have the forecast result as well as the forecast revenue results so that we could have the different kinds of plot shown in the chat tab in our app. And that is being supported by the fragment chat. So you can see that this is where we could enter our questions in the chat. So that's being made possible by this code chunk. And we also have the code for the send button right here. And of course, we have the view that supports the graph. Otherwise, we couldn't show the forecast. And last but not least, we have the chat item that supports the history of our chat so that we could remember what we asked the bot for. So that is a quick overview of this app. I hope you can use this in your work and you could expand this into other uses that could help you automate your work process. I'll see you in the next video.